Hello punters and welcome back to another Saturday racing preview. Of course, in this video looking at the Rosehill meeting tomorrow, which is the main feature of New South Wales meeting. Like I mentioned earlier on today with my videos, apologies that this has been uploaded quite late. I had to go and work today, so still got the day job to unfortunately pay the bills at this stage. So apologies they're a bit late, but hopefully plenty of you can still get on and find a few winners and I guess enjoy the video and the analysis and breakdown of each race, which we're going to get into right now. So first race on the card tomorrow, 2-year-old Dali handicap race over the 1100 metres. So really looking forward to this. A nice little 2-year-old race to kick off the program at Rosehill tomorrow. Look at the speed map. I'd say that Proud Mia and Pyramont will be up towards the pace. Anders and already blessed usually on paces as well as Mrs. Maisel. So look, good early battle for the speed, I'd suggest. But I'm hoping that Anders perhaps settles in behind the speed and is able to come out and finish over the top of them. Look, this horse has been in some terrific form. I mean, you look at two starts back, the second of Peltzer. Peltzer's probably some of the best at 2-year-old form at the moment. Obviously, the horse came out has won 3 in its career so far, and two of them were in very, very good companies. And then Anders then went to Wyong last start and absolutely demolished him by nearly 7 lengths. So, and that's how you want, while the field wasn't very strong, that's how you want, I guess, horses like him with the talent that he's got to finish it off and to put that opposition away, basically, and that's exactly what he did. And it was much better than the first start because the first up he just sort of, he overdid a little bit. He was over racing, but he was much better last start. He relaxed a bit more and was still just way too good for him. And I hope he can relax here. And if he does, I think he'll be extremely hard to beat. And he's one of the best bets of the program for me. He's a very good 2-year-old, and I think he has the measure of these ones here. But look, I am I guess a bit curious of Andermatt, who went around at massive odds last start on its debut at Kembla Grange, but won so well. It won like it should have been a $2.50 shot. It really took care of him quite easily. It was a nice win from back in the field. Now I do think it is probably slightly under the odds at 550 off the back of that maiden win, but I do concede it's also got a lot of ability from what I've seen from the figures from the first up run, and it really does match up quite well. So going to have that horse in for second. In for third, number 5, Supremo, who's on debut for John Thompson, and obviously Natural Willer in the saddle. 3 trials leading into this one. They've all been quite sharp, been quite impressed with all of them. So this horse, I think, has some ability, and being obviously sided by a written tycoon out of Dazelle, I think he's bred to have a bit of speed, and I think he'll be right in the mix here. He's got a nice chance on debut at $9, so I'll give him a bit of a chance in this race. And number 2 already, Blessed, has been around the market with last basically all this preparation. Had 3 starts, hasn't missed a placing, so going to think it's going to be well in the finish. I'm just not 100% sure on its form lines. The one that on debut obviously finished second, a horse called Makuru, and I've obviously raved on massively about how good that 2-year-old form has been around Makuru and how good of a horse that horse is. And obviously then went and finished third to Kinlock, who failed by going to town after that, and it was a strong 2-year-old race. I believe it was at Ramwick, if my memory serves me correctly. But the fact that I guess he's been around some very strong form is what you want to see. He was a good win last time out of Canberra. Don't know about the opposition he beat, but he still was able to get the job done and got that win out of the way, which was well deserved for him. So I think he'll be in the finish. $10 and $2.70 is probably a bit overs for him a bit as well. But look, pretty good open race, to be honest, on the card. I'm quite keen on Anders, though. I think he'll be hard to beat. So I've got him on top ahead of number 3, Andermatt, in for second. In for third, number 5, Supremo, and in for fourth, number 2, Already Blessed. Moving on to race number 2 now. It's the highway handicap race of the day, class 2, over 1,400 metres. Looking at the speed map for this highway race here. As usual, there isn't a whole lot of speed this time, actually. Often in the higher race, we do see a fair bit of genuine tempo in the race, but this one doesn't seem to have too much. I'd say Rita Humble will probably find the top with Arcado, and then the likes of Al Carb and Is He Looking Good, Safe Landing. They might be, I guess, probably settling in behind, but I'd suggest the 2 horses on the inside 2 barriers will be the 2 speed horses in the race. So I think one of those will be the winner. I think it's number 2, Ready to Humble. I think this horse is ready to win here. It was a good second last start in the highway race behind Tajuri. Now, Tajuri finished 5th in the highway race. It was two weeks ago, I believe. And Tajuri, I still think that the format of that highway race has been pretty good. So I do think that this horse can go branch off that. Doesn't look to be a whole lot of tempo in this one in comparison to the one that this horse faced in its last start. I think it's going to get a much softer lead, and as such, it's going to be really hard to beat. So I've got it on top to win the highway race in race number 2, ahead of number 9, Deepwood Vale, who comes in this second up off a 6 last start at Scone behind Mayesh, and it's a really good run from back in the field there. Not sure if it's going to get the right sort of tempo here, but comes into it second up. I could see it improved performance. James McDonald in the saddle, $7.50, really nice price as well. So I think it's got a good chance. Number 7, Arcado, will also be the other speed factor with Reed Humble, and I think it'll be well on the finish as well if those two sort of are able to dictate terms and I guess put the anchor down on the speed and then obviously kick away and make it a sprint home. I think these two will be right in the finish. So Arcado's got to go into my numbers in for third. Now, it was a good second last time out to Kembla Grange by Enchanting. I think that's good form to bring into a higher race. So $6 about it. Thinks about the right price. So I've got it in for second. In for third. And then in for fourth, number 6, Legwork, who comes in this off a third behind Perfect Pitch. So a bit of a different form line. Obviously, that one was a highway race, and that one was run last 2 weeks ago. So look, interesting one from Legwork. It worked home pretty well on that occasion. Prior to that was a good win at Wagga. So I think it could be well in the finish once again. I think the price is right as well. I think that the market really tells the story of this race here. So I've got number 2, Rated Humble on top, ahead of number 9, Deepwood Vale in for second. In for third, number 7, Arcadone. In for fourth, number 6, Legwork. I think they're the main factors in the highway race there. Moving on to race number 3, and it's the Magna Gracia at Coolmore, Australia. It's a benchmark 74 for the 3-year-olds over 1,200 metres. And look at the speed map for this race here, and quite a lot of tempo in this race. I think there'll be a lot of them competing for the speed. Usually Military Magic and Satin Socks like to be up there. Not Faint-Hearted and Van Giz, I think they'll be pushing forward from the inside barriers. Edison usually is up towards the pace, but might take a sip from there. And the likes of Hulk's usually landing to not far off the speed. Matty Rocks, Atlantic King, Bring the Ransom usually likes to get forward as well. So quite a few of them will be sort of up trying to get into those prominent roles in the first sort of four to six. So really interesting speed battle here. And as such, I do think that if Sally's Day drops back in the field, it'll set up perfectly for her, and she'll be able to charge home over the top of them. She was very good last start, coming third behind for Choose. I think that's the right form for this race here, and she was really good there on that occasion. It was a terrific run by her, and she's just getting better and better. She comes in this third up. I think she'll be much improved and be hard to beat, so I've got her on top. Ahead of number 7, Hulk, who he's always promised a lot, this boy, and he finally looks like he might have turned a corner. He was very good first up on the Kensington track, being not faint-hearted. I was on him that day, and I was very happy that he got the job done. That was on a soft track, though, which is interesting. Obviously, looking at a heavy 9 tomorrow at Randwick in the overcast conditions, so I don't think we'll be getting any, I guess, lighter than that. Some of you Sydney sides can let me know in the comments if you reckon it might drop down to a soft, based off what I've seen off the I guess the weather predictions. I think it'll stay in the heavy, but we'll see about that. But look, Hulk obviously winning on the soft first up was a good performance, and it has run on a heavy track before, so that is quite important. And he obviously comes in this race second up now. I think he'll be well improved. $11 over the odds about him. In for third, I've got number 2, Mo's Crown, who comes out of some good form races. I mean, you look at the last 2 runs. The 5th behind Masked Crusader was 5 lengths off of him. 5th behind Dorland Passage, 3.6 lengths off of her. So that for me is quite elite form. Prior to that, looking at form around Villamai and California Zimbol group horses as well. So, and obviously Dorland Passage is a group horse, and Masked Crusader might be a group horse in the making. So the fact that Mo's Crown's $8 probably a bit over the odds. You could definitely have an each way play at it. And I think it's got a very good chance in this race. And last but not least, saying for 4th, I've got number 11, La Cosmo. I think she can bounce back here. She was a little bit disappointing last start in the Fortuce race, but prior to that, she finished second to Fortuce and then 0.1 of a length off Dirty Work, and then came out 1 again. So the form was around La Cosmo was very good leading into its last start run. It didn't have the market support, did run, but it wasn't an overly bad run. It was only 3.3 lengths off Fortuce, so I don't think that's that bad. And the fact that it's going around the $19 here, I think it can run well enough to be right up in the finish. So recap the numbers for me. Look, I'm pretty keen on number 9, Sally's Day. I think she'll be hard to beat here, ahead of number 7, Hulk, in for second. In for third, number 2, Mo's Crown, and in for 4th, the number 11, La Cosmo. Now, interestingly, obviously, like I said, with the heavy track, that will make things very interesting, and I have put that into my mind with a few things, but just in case we get that sort of upgrade, but I highly doubt it. I have sort of thought about the soft conditions as well, but more than likely, I'd say, I'll be getting that heavy track tomorrow. So moving on into race number 4 on the program now. It's a 1500 metre benchmark, 88 Schweppes handicap, and look at the speed map for this race here. Looking, I'd say Soldier Love will find the top, and I can't really see too many others that pushing forward, because quite a lot of these are genuine back markers. I'd say across Dubai, who's obviously the first starter from over in the UK, will probably drop back in the field as well. So I can't see a whole lot of pressure being on Soldier of Love, and as such, will be able to dictate the terms. And some of these back marks won't want to get too far back, because I think that she'll be hard to beat, Soldier of Love, if she's given, I guess, enough time in front. She's got the form on the wet track. She's finished third to Oakfield Missile, 2 starts back. Then she obviously came out and beat Celestial Falls last start. Now, this is a harder test for her, but she is down bottom weights. And like I said, not a whole lot of pressure on her, I guess, in the speed. So that's going to really play to her favour. I think she's short enough at 280, but I think with the way that the map looks to play out and not a whole lot up pressuring her, she might be able to just be too slick for these. But if a second, I've got number 4, Trumbull, who I've got a lot of time for him, and he gets onto a heavy track, and I think that's going to suit him really nicely, the way that he races. He has had a win on a soft track before. His last 2 starts, I mean, boy, has he been a good thing beaten. He's been in some terrific form races as well, and he's just been having that tendency to miss the kick and miss the start. And if he can fix that up about himself, he can definitely be winning this race. He finished 4th last start, only 1.7 lengths off Rainey, 0.2 length off Hightail at the Kensington track a couple of back on the 2nd of May. And for me, that's really good form, because I raved about it in the Doomben form line with the likes of Accelerates. I think Hightail it's one of the better form lines going around. A lot of the horses around him seem to be winning well. So Trumbull, look, he's got his chance, but and on a heavy track, it will play to him much more. But like I said, he won't want to miss the kick and be back last, because it doesn't look to be a strong tempo. He won't be able to come into the race like he has done in his last couple of starts. So he's going to be hard to beat if he can get out on terms, but it's that little query, and that's why I guess I've lent it gone against him. Moving on to my third pick, number 2, Shawnee. I think she can improve coming into this second up. She was in that obviously hot Ithera race last start, where look, the Emirates Park Dark Jewel Classic, of course, Group 3 race, and comes obviously back into a weaker grade here, and this is a very winnable race for her, but she just hasn't won in a while now, and it does, when I say she hasn't won in a while, she did win obviously her last start before she went for a spell, but prior to that, she was she was sort of just around the mark here and there, and she often can be hard to pick, because she often does come out and win it when she's, I guess, a little further out of the mark, but she's always been strongly supported, and she obviously didn't get that strong market support first up, but maybe she could improve it coming to this second up. And she is a decent wet track. She's had 6 starts on a soft track for 3 wins. She's had 1 start in a heavy for no wins and no placings, but she could be right up winning a race like this. 550 is a very good price. $1.95 the place, even better. Number 12, Master Shahud, I thought was a bit over the odds here. This horse has 4 starts on a soft track for a win and 2 placings, and 2 starts on a heavy where it hasn't placed. So that is a little concern, but comes in this off the 3 trials. Nothing too flash there, but look, he's a horse that is very good first up. He's had 6 starts first up for 3 wins and 2 placings. So the fact that he's a very good fresh horse, I think alone just needs to give him that little bit more respect than the market is perhaps giving him at the $26 at this stage. Other chances in the race, look, I do think that Travancore could bounce back and run a good race here as well. I think he's getting closer and closer to winning. He's definitely a wet tracker, so he'll appreciate coming onto this heavier surface. Last time he was on it, finished second at Wellington, so I know that form line isn't extremely strong, but regardless, he still enjoys conditions, and he could run well enough being down the bottom of the weights. And look, Strome's another one who doesn't mind a wet track either, but is pretty horribly out of form at the moment. But look, I'm pretty confident on my top 3 in particular, and obviously they are in the market order, and it's number 11, Soldier of Love on top. If a second, number 4, Trumbull, like I said, if he gets out and he's close enough in striking distance, it'll be hard to beat. Shawnee, she's going to be pretty hard to beat as well. I really do think these top 3 are very, very good chances of winning the race. And outside of that, number 12, Master Hood might run well enough fresh here. Move on to race number 5 in the program now, and it's the benchmark 88 1200 metre trapeze artist at Witten Handicap. What a superstar trapeze artist was. Look at the speed map here. I'd say Murillo and Spanish Dream will pair off and find the front. Murillo coming out of barrier number 3, Spanish Dream out of number 8, and then for Chus and Samba, I'd say I will drop in behind them and get a bit of cover. So for Chus will get that gun run, but I couldn't be with her because $1.65 when she comes on a heavy track for the first time, just that little bit of a query. And as I always say on these videos, with I guess things that are $2 or less and things that you're going to have to put more money on to, I guess, get a result, you've got to be 100% confident that it's just going to get the job done. And like I've said here, with Fatchoose comes to the track for onto a heavy track for the first time, just that little bit of a query for me, and that's why I couldn't put her on top. So as such, I have gone with number 5 Esperance, who he's a horse that does get through the wet ground. He's very good on it as well. He hasn't missed a placing from 3 goes. He's won raced once on a soft track for a win, and he's raced 2 times on a heavy for a win and a placing. So he's definitely got a good chance. He finished 3rd to Newsgirl last start. Obviously, Coruscate came out of that form race and was a subsequent winner last week. So form's good around Esperance and the likes of Newsgirl and Coruscate. And prior to that, finished 5th to Brazado, who he then came out one again as well. So Esperance has been around a few good horses and perhaps has just bumped into a few good ones. He's going to be doing that here again, but finding the wet track, I just think $8 and $1.95 the place. He just might, I guess, he's better each way play in terms of a betting perspective for me. So I've got him on top, ahead of number 8 for Choose. Look, she's going to be hard to beat, but she's just it's just that query going onto the heavy track for me that's why I've looked elsewhere and gone for a bit of value. Number 1, Noble Boy, his best could definitely see him feature here, and he gets that wet track that he's been probably longing for. He finished 6th last started behind Dirty Work at Rosehill. He comes in this second up. He's had a win for second up from 3 goes, but I still think that the only issue with him here is he gets Louise Day's 3 kilo claim, so he has to carry 59, which isn't too bad. Obviously, last start he carried 55.5, so he gets a bit of a jump up in weights, but he does come into a weaker grade as well, I guess, as well. So that was the illicit race last start. So look, he's got a very good chance here, and obviously being with Claire Cunningham now, and might be able to turn him around. He's always had that X factor and always had that ability, and the fact that he strikes that wet track, this might be the way to go for him. So I'd be interested to see how he goes. $5 probably his right price, and if a 4th, I've got number 4 Improvement. I think she's got a nice chance as well. She was 5th in that Orothea race. She was 5th to start prior behind Hightail, so she's again around that sort of form line that I always talk about in these videos, and she's a wet tracker as well. She loves the wet, so she's definitely got a chance as well at the $10. So recap the numbers for me. I'm keen on Esperance, so I think that this could be his race 3rd up and onto a wet track. So I've got him on top ahead of number 8 for Choose, in for 2nd, in for 3rd number 1 Noble Boy, and in for 4th number 4 Improvement. Moving on to race number 6 on the program now, and it's the Phillies Mares benchmark 78. It's the Tab Long May We Play handicap over the 1400 metres. Look at the speed map for this race here. I'd say that Statuesquely and 3 Oud would be the 2 leading horses, with Feather probably close enough, and Sakura and Slow Burn I think will work their way across some outside barriers to be relatively prominent in the race as well. Look, I'm pretty keen on River Capri here. Horse number 9, $7.50. I think it's a very good price at James McDonald in the saddle. She was enormous last start, where she absolutely rattled home late behind Earth Song, who just narrowly clinged on. And River Capri, she was really making some good ground there. She's a good wet tracker. She said starting a heavy before for a win, and 2 starts on a soft for 2 placings. So I think that she'll be well suited in these conditions. She looks to get a good run in the race from the barrier draw. James McDonald in the saddle, I think she's just got a lot of ticks to her, and shouldn't be quite a $7.50 chance. So I've got her on top ahead of number 6, Miss Einstein, who's the definite danger. Like I said, a wet tracker as well from her. She was very good, finishing just narrowly set for finishing 2nd last time out behind Opacity. Just couldn't quite run him down, but obviously gets the 7-day backup, which is a really intrigue from Bjorn Baker. A good move there, I believe. And obviously she'll get some strong market support off of that as well. A lot of people who like to get on with horses that have that quick backup. So I think she'll be right in the finish again as well. And she's probably at the right price. So I think they're the 2 main chances. But in for 3rd, I do think that Bound to Win can improve off its last start performance. Look, she was really good beating Feather last time. Actually made very good ground. I was on her that day and was pretty happy that she got up, and that was a nice performance. She does have the weight swing on Feather here, which probably indicates that Feather probably should be a bit short on the market, being $10, of course. Sorry, her being $10, of course, but considering it was only 1.3 lengths against him, can the weight difference be the difference? I mean, having a look at it, Feather goes down 5 from its 60, and Bound to Win goes down 3 from its 59.5. So, it's a 2 kilo weight swing from last start. Perhaps it could make the world difference, and perhaps Feather should be a bit short on the market, and that's why I've got Feather as my fourth pick, because I think those two will be right in the finish. And St. Covert Spirit's one that I haven't mentioned, simply because it's got the right form bringing into a race like this, but obviously she just isn't very good on a wet surface, and she hasn't got a jockey notified at the moment, so she could potentially be scratched. So, recap the numbers for me. I'm pretty keen on number 9, Reva Capri. I think she's a great each-way chance. In for second, number 6, Miss Einstein. In for third, number 11, Bound to Win. And in for fourth, number 12, Feather. Moving on to race number 7 now is the Lord Mayor's Cup, of course, the listed race of the day, over 2,000 metres. Really nice addition, this one as well. Look at the speed map, I'd say Rapido Shaparo and Wu Gok will be right up on the pace. Dr. Drew will be up there. Mask of Time and the Lord Mayor from the two outside barriers, they'll be quite prominent as well. I'd say they'd suggest they'd want to be up towards the speed. Look, I'm pretty. It's a tough race, this one, and I've landed with a horse called Big Duke, and the simple fact that he's a very good wet tracker. He's had 6 starts on heavy track for 2 wins and 3 placings. He has won first up before. He's had 7 starts for a win and 2 placings. He generally gets better the further he goes into his prep, but looking at, last preparation, he finished 7th on a soft track at Randwick over 2,000 metres behind Finch. Was only 4 lengths off of Finch there, then finished 5th behind Come Play With Me in a Group 1. He now finds himself here in a listed race, so over 2,000 metres. I think he's got a good chance here, and he's just 31-1 with Nash in the saddle. I think he's well over the odds, so I'll be going to having something each way on him. He's the one that I want to be putting on top. So he's the one to beat ahead of number 18, Batiga, who he is the 3-year-old, and he is the new kid on the block, and he's really starting to prove himself. He was good finishing second behind Canaan and Tonte 2 and 3 starts back, and then he was very good winning last start, beating Welsh Legend. And obviously, look, he's got to now do it against some very good stayers in their own rights. A lot of these have been around proper group form, so he's got his test now. I think 370 is short enough. I don't think he should be that short, but he definitely has the X factor, and that's probably why he excites a few people coming into this race. The only interest with him is obviously he has had the one start heavy before for the one placing, but he has gotten through a soft track before. He's had 3 starts for 2 wins on a soft, so he's an interesting one. I just think he's a bit short, but I do concede that he's got a lot of ability, and he'll be pretty hard to beat here. In for third, number 7, Wu Gok. He just loves a wet track, and while he isn't a good first up performer, on a wet track, you've just got to have him in the numbers because he's just that good on. He's had 11 starts on a heavy track for 6 wins and a placing. And he has won here at Rosehill before. He does prefer Randwick, but he has won here at Rosehill before, which is quite important for me. So I've got him in for third. And then in for fourth, I've got... I think that number 1, 60's Groove can improve. Look, he's a horse that's been... just haven't been able to find the best that he was showing, I guess, a couple of years ago. And he just is still trying to find his form. And I guess he finished 9th last time out in the Scone Cup behind Dr. Drill. Comes to this, though, second up. He is much better second up than he is first up. He's had 6 starts second up for 2 wins and a win and a placing, whereas he obviously first up has had 9 starts for just the 2 placings. So I suggest we'll see some improvement from him. Other chance of the race, Dr. Drill, who he's in good form. He won the Scone Cup last start, and he does get through the wet conditions, so I don't think he'll be... I think he could be towards the finish. And the other one is Aliferous. I think she could run a good race. She was a real eye-catcher last start behind Another Dollar, and she brings in that slightly different form line. So a real interesting race, of course, the Lord Mayor's Cup. But look, I'm going to land with Big Duke for his wet track form and Nash in the saddle. I think $31 as well are the odds about him. I think he's got a good chance, and I'm willing to have a go at him. Ahead of number 18, Batiga, the new kid on the block. Let's see what he's made of tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to this clash tomorrow between him and the older horses. In for third, number 7, Wu Gok, and in for fourth, number 1, 60's Groove. Moving on to race number 8 now on the program, and it's the Exceedance at Vinery Handicap, benchmark 78 over 1,300 metres. And looking at the speed map for this race here, I'd suggest that Bergen, Sharif and It's So Obvious will be up towards the pace. with the likes of Mayesh and ISO Rich also being up there and quite prominent as well. So not a ton of pace, but enough there, I guess, to give the back markers and the midfielders a bit of a chance here. But look, I have landed with a horse called Lundberg here, who's paying some pretty nice odds at the $8.50. He's a very good wet track. He's had 3 starts and a heavy for 2 wins and a placing. He comes into this second up, which I think he'll be much improved off his first up performance when he finished behind Adelong on that occasion. Look, obviously this is a tough race, but he comes into it, and I think just with that heavy track form, I'm willing to give him a crack at the $8.50, and the fact that I think that he'll be getting a good run in the race from barrier number 5. So he goes on top for me, ahead of number 6, True Detective, who he also has a very good chance in a race. So he's finished 4th to Dawn Passage last time out, 4 lengths off of her. That was narrowly beaten by Oakfield Missile the start prior, and like looking at its form prior to that, it finished 3rd to Pandemic, 3rd to Rubazaki, which 7th to Villamai and was 10 lengths off, but there was an issue that day, and then 6th to Splintex, 3 lengths off Splintex. So real genuine group form from True Detective, and could definitely win a race like this at the $5. So I'm going to have him in for second. Look, Mr. Dependable is an interesting one. The only issue I've had with him is he has had the stuff on a heavy track before, and he didn't fire. He finished 7th on that occasion, but he's trialled really well coming in, Mr. Dependable, and he's got a lot of ability. So I think that if he gets sharp to his trials and he can get through the conditions all right, he'll be right in the finish as well. So I've got him in for second. And then in for third, I was looking at number 16, Al Mahiri, who for John Thomas, just think in the Fortuitous colours. I think that she's just a bit over the odds here. She's had 4 starts on a soft track for 2 wins and a placing. Her 2 trials leading in haven't been anything too flash, but she's not the greatest first up performer usually. But I just think that she could perhaps run a bit of a race here, being on the wet conditions. So I've got her for 4th as just a bit of a sort of each way odds chance. Star Spangled Roday, I think, has got a nice chance. That was a good win first up. Format of that race, though, hasn't been elite, I guess. So a little bit of a question mark on that sort of form line. But being a New Zealander, the fact that he hasn't met a wet track does query me a little bit. But he is a New Zealander. He should be able to get through conditions. A lot of them do. So I do think he's got a nice chance in the race as well. Couldn't put him in my numbers, but I do think that he could be running well, and wouldn't mind if you had something on him. So recapping the numbers for me, look, I am quite keen on number 4, Lundberg here. I think that he can bounce back and he can run well here, on being onto his favourite heavy track. Out of number 6, True Detective in for second. In for third, number 8, Mr. Dependable. And then in for 4th, number 16, Al Mahiri at a bit of odds. Moving on to race number 9 in the program now, the final race of the card, 1100 metre benchmark 78. The Iron Jack handicap with the speed map here. I'd say Adelong will find the top with I'm a Cool Kid. Agent Pippa will be up there. Mansa Musa will also be contesting for the speed. Echo Jet will be up prominent as well. So quite a lot of pace in this race here. And I think it could set up nice for number 7, Handspun, who isn't the greatest wet tracker, but the fact that it'll be going at such a good clip up front might just allow for her to come into the race from back in the field. I just think she's well over the odds. She's had 2 nice trials leading in. And her form last preparation was quite good as well. She finished second to Kylie's first up. So the fact that she did that first up last preparation off a 115-day spell, she comes off a 161-day spell into this. I just think that the way the race is going to run, she might be able to come into it nicely. So hopefully that is the case, and she can run a good enough race. But look, so I've got her on top ahead of number 6, Adelong, who I believe she's got a stack of ability. She comes to a heavy track first time, and it just has to prove it for me now. I think 260 probably about the right price, but I just would rather go that little bit of value, that little bit, I guess, looking around, and that's just what I do. I usually shop for a bit of a roughie when I'm not 100% confident in the favourite, and that's the case of that along. So she goes in for second. In for third, I've got number 3, Superior, who, again, also has had just the 1 start on a soft track, but has never seen a heavy, and I know that Joe Pride thought that he could be a good, decent enough chance first up here. He's had 3 trials leading in, so he's nicely wound up for this first up assignment. He did win first up last preparation, where he beat Embracer first up, and then finished second to that horse once again. So I think that he can run well enough first up here with James McDonald in the saddle, and barrier number 9 just needs to get a little bit of luck for that outside barrier. It'd be interesting to see if they take him back or roll forward with him. And then in for 4th, I've got number 5, Mansa Musa, who I think he can run a good enough race if he finds a spot as well. He was good first up, comes in this second up, which, he is much better fresh being first up, but I think he can run well enough and be in the finish once again here as well. Other chances, I'm a Cool Kid, interested to see what he can do. He's always had a stack of X Factor for Grant Williams, sorry, not Grant Williams, Gary Williams, and with Adam Hieronymus in the saddle, it'd be interested to see, I guess, how aggressive Hieronymus is to try and get him up towards the speed. He's never missed a place in his career, so that is a good positive. But he comes up against some good opposition here, so that's the only difference. But as you can see, he's got a chance. And Brazen Pipe's a bit over the odds here. A horse that will really appreciate the strong tempo to come into the race. But look, very good race. So I think number 7, Handspun, though, first up for me. Likes that little bit of a query on a wet track, but I've got queries with just about all these, so I just had to go with, I guess, her for that little bit of value. So I've got her on top, ahead of number 6, Adelong, in for second. In for third, number 3, Superium. And then in for fourth, I've got number 5, Mansa Musa. Now, moving on into my best bets of the program, look, I was very keen on in race number 1, Anders. I think he'll be extremely hard to beat, so I've got him on top as one of my best bets of the program. Race number 1, number 1, geez, stuff that one up. Race 1, number 1, Anders at the $2.60. I think he's going to be hard to beat, so he's one of my best bets of the program. And then looking through the other sort of best bet of the program for me, I'm tempted to do Soldier of Love, but I do think it can be between those three, and as such, I'll have a look at elsewhere. The other sort of best bet that I'm quite confident on comes in race number. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, look, the second best bet for me comes in race number 3, and it's number 9, Sally's Day. I think she's well up to winning that type of race there. So it's race number 3, number 9, Sally's Day is my other best bet of the program. Now, my best value each way bets of the program for me, look, I'm pretty keen on going at race number 7 and going with number 3, Big Duke. I just think he's got a nice chance on the heavy track first up. He might be a big surprise and run well, so I'm hoping that he can do so. A dash in the saddle, I think $31 and $8 the place. He's got a good chance. I'm hoping that he can do something similar to what Rich Charm did last week at Flemington, and hopefully at least get the place. And this time go a little bit close. Obviously, Rich Charm narrowly got nosed out, which didn't really know what I was doing with myself, because I was delighted with the $8 a place, but at the same time, I was very disappointed that could have almost got the $34 to win about him. So hopefully, Big Duke can do the same thing for us this week. So I've got him as one of my best each way value bets of the program. The other one comes in race number 6. It is number 9, Riva Capri, at the $7.50. So it's race number 6, number 9, Riva Capri is my other best each way value bet of the program. So good luck if you're playing tomorrow. I do appreciate your tuning in and leaving your feedback down below. Obviously, I enjoy reading the comments and responding to a lot of them, so I hope that a lot of you do enjoy doing that too. And a lot of you enjoy these videos, and hopefully they can give that little bit push going into the weekend to either back something that you like, or you can give a little bit of a tip from me for something that you can follow me in at. So that's what it's all about, and that's what I enjoy doing, and I hope that you guys enjoy watching it at home. So thanks for tuning in. Like I said, like it, subscribe, comment if you haven't already done so. I really appreciate all the support that you guys do give me, and I really look forward to it every week. I look forward to bringing these videos to you, so hopefully I can do it plenty more times leading into the future, and hopefully one day potentially be doing it on television in front of many more of you. So good luck to me if you're playing tomorrow. Hope you find plenty of winners. Enjoy the fantastic racing tomorrow, and if you haven't already done so as well, go and check me out on social media, CLA_racing tips on Instagram and CLA Race Tips on Facebook. So thank you for tuning in, and good luck tomorrow.